Welcome to Minnesota Sports Talk. I'm Josh Coan. Today I'm talking about my Minnesota Timberwolves. I was watching the Disney Plus show, the Marvel show on Disney Plus, What If? And it made me think about, if you're a Minnesota sports fan, I know you've done this too, with all of our franchises really, but with the Minnesota Timberwolves, I want to give you the top 5 what ifs in Minnesota Timberwolves franchise history. So I'm going to start with number 5 and count down. Number 5 is Sam Cassell's injury in 2004 it was the Western Conference semifinals. He did his celebration dance, and I don't know if it's ever been officially confirmed. I'm pretty sure it has, but that when he was celebrating his shot, doing his dance, he pulled something in his leg, was injured, and was not fully healthy for that Lakers series in the Western Conference Finals, which they lost. Definitely it's on the list because that's a team that could have won a championship, right? We all thought that was the team. Looking back at it, still, that was, it would have completely changed things, obviously, if Cassell was healthy. I think they could have won that championship. I think the only reason I have it down at 5 is because I still don't know if they beat that Lakers team. That was a really good Lakers team. And the Lakers didn't even win the finals. So do we beat Detroit if we get there? Number 4, I'm putting the trade for Jimmy Butler. What if? And again, I'm not necessarily saying these are bad, although you asked my opinion. Even at the time, I wasn't happy about losing Zach LaVine. But that's at number 4. There's no direct championship necessarily that we would have won, but I think that is when things started to fall apart for what they were building with Zach LaVine, Andrew Wiggins, Karl Anthony Towns. Again, we don't know if that 3, where they would be right now, right? Because not necessarily like they're all having huge individual success. But that 3 together, guys that liked playing together, could have grown together, not just gotten better, but gotten better together, known each other better. I think that team had a shot to do something, and it would have been really fun to see that team grow and develop and possibly win something. This trade could go in a much larger what if, Flip Saunders' death, because that just completely derailed the franchise. Flip's vision, Flip's plan, bringing back KG, all of that, super disappointing. And then Tibbs coming in, drafting Chris Dunn right away. There's a lot more but I didn't want to put Flip's death on here because as much as it affected the basketball team, it's a man's life, and that's bigger than a what if in some scenario for an NBA team. So I didn't want to put Flip's death on there, and honestly, that probably would have been number 1. If the way that things unraveled after he died was rough. So number 3 is where I have drafting Rubio and Flynn over Steph Curry. That might be one in a lot of people's minds. That was a huge thing. Obviously, if you didn't need a point guard, that's fine, but you drafted 2 point guards ahead of Steph Curry. And who knows what if. Obviously, a 2-time MVP, 3-time NBA champion, rewriting the record books when it comes to the 3-point shooting. The only reason why it's a little bit lower is because we don't know if he would have developed like he did in Minnesota or want to stay in Minnesota. There was rumors that he didn't want to get drafted by the Timberwolves. So there's a lot more to that, but I think that's a crazy what if to think. Obviously, we've all thought about it, dreamt about it, especially when he was winning those championships with the Warriors. What if the Wolves had drafted Curry instead of Rubio? Yes, been disappointing, but really Johnny Flynn, if you're going to draft 2 point guards, one of them, you could have taken a shot with Steph Curry, right? Even if you thought he was too small, you could have taken a chance if you're going to draft back-to-back point guards. That's embarrassing. That's really bad. Number 2, I have Marbury staying in Minnesota. What if Marbury had stayed and not demanded a trade? And I have that higher than Curry because Marbury was here and he had success. Him and KG were friends. They got along for a bit. They made the playoffs. They were winning. I believe that this team that the Timberwolves have a championship, at least are in finals contending if KG and Marbury again grow together. Those guys were so good and so young. I really think it wouldn't have taken much more to surround them with some players, and they could have been contenders for a long time. It's hard to say championship in Minnesota, but man, they at least would have been contenders in Minnesota for a long time. So Marbury getting traded, demanding the trade is a huge what if because, man, I really would have loved to see the way those careers would have played out had those two played together. the number one what if I have, and maybe Marbury should be higher, but the number one I have is in 2006, and it recently resurfaced, but I remember hearing this rumor a while ago, but Kevin Garnett wanted Allen Iverson, and Allen Iverson told his GM in Philadelphia that he wanted to play in Minnesota with KG and asked for a trade. And if Iverson in 06 comes and plays with KG in 2006, still prime KG, just a year or two removed from his finals, from his MVP and from their Western Conference Finals run, Allen Iverson and KG, they win a championship together. I don't think there's a doubt. There's not a doubt in my mind. Talk about the inside-outside game. How could you guard these two guys that are completely unguardable at their positions? The Lakers were done winning their ships. San Antonio had their run in the middle of that, but the league was open, and Allen Iverson and KG together absolutely would have won championships. There's not a doubt in my mind. That's why I have that number one, because it wouldn't have lasted as long, maybe as Marbury and KG, but Iverson and KG, AI and KG, man, they would have won championships. They would have at least won a ring here in Minnesota, and talk about completely changing everything. If Garnett's here, obviously, if they win the championship, he doesn't get traded to Boston. He doesn't have the anger issues with Glenn Taylor. His jersey's retired. He's both of those two enter maybe not GOAT conversations, but definitely get the respect they deserve. Iverson never winning a ring. He's in the discussion for best player to never win a ring with Barkley and Malone and some of those guys, but Iverson would get the proper respect he deserves. And man, I loved watching Allen Iverson. It would have been so much fun to have him in Minnesota. They would have won a ship, I promise you. Two things that I thought about but weren't on this list. Ricky Rubio tearing his ACL. When his rookie year, remember his first year here, they were in a playoff spot, never fully recovered. It'd be interesting to see that year, if they had made the playoffs, how that would affect things, but also just Ricky's career, how it would have been different. Had they made the playoffs that year, how would we look at him differently? Would they maybe added another piece and then won something? And that's just outside. Like I said, the Wolves got a lot of these what ifs in franchise history. And then the other one was KG's trade. I didn't put it on that list. One, I didn't want to take that away from KG. He won his championship. I'm happy for him. What if? I don't know if the franchise is going anywhere else. If we wouldn't have traded KG, I don't think we got value back, even though we got a lot. We didn't get a lot of good stuff back. I mean, you had to try to reset things anyways. If you weren't going to build around KG, which was clear they weren't going to, you had to kind of reset things anyway. So trading KG, I get, as much as it hurt, as painful as it was, if you weren't going to give him somebody like an Allen Iverson, then it made sense to trade him. But I do want to hear what you guys, because I think this is a fun conversation, maybe a little bit depressing, difficult to talk about. In Minnesota, this is all we have, is these what ifs. So I want to know, what are your what ifs? What is the biggest what ifs to you? Do you like my list? Is my order way crazy, or is something that I might have missed? Timberwolves franchise history, or if you feel like cutting open a vein and going to other Minnesota sports too. Maybe I'll do one on the Vikings or the Wild or the Twins or some of the other teams later. But let me know what you think. If there's some that I should have had on that list or didn't, or like I said, if my order was out of whack, let me know in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, tell your friends, and I'll see you next time.